Hello everybody and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series, new series here on PGR eSports. Looking forward to what is going to be a great show, and we will have a lot of things to go over, but as always, I want to start by thanking everybody for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on PGR eSports, and yes, as we mentioned, a new series for us. These guys may have been going for a few seasons, but we kick off a new season here tonight at none other than Five Flags Speedway. So let's get right down trackside, get things kicked off with tonight's starting grid. Taking the pole, it's going to be Brian Whitney in the 76 truck. He'll have Randy Richard to his outside in second. Back in row two, it'll be Craig Janzak alongside Jason Nethery. Stoney Benfield back in fifth with Andrew Hale sixth. It's going to be James Harris alongside George Young back in row four. Toby Ritter's back in the ninth spot with Justin Potts rounding out the top 10. Brad Thacker starts in 11th. It's going to be Jason Taylor in the outside of row number 6. Moving on back to row 7. In 13th is going to be Caleb Forsyth. Brian High starts 14th. Blake Tidwell 15th with Brian Toole 16th. Jay Mon in 17th. William Mann 18th. Kevin Ward in 19th. And Michael Hill rounding out your top 20. Billy Brewer starts 21st with Kevin Kirchar rounding out the field. He starts in 22nd. Taking a look at your race info here tonight. It is the Five Flags 120, so we're going to go 120 laps around this half a mile. Translates to about 60 miles total distance, 100% fuel. 4 sets of tires, which will be the only reason that you got to make a pit stop here tonight. 1 faster pair open setups. Another thing to keep an eye on, drivers will have the opportunity to make some adjustments. And 2 green-white checkers if we were to need them. All right, here we go. The first race of the season is underway in the Grindstone Developments Truck Series. Lap 1 already in the books, and it's the 78 of Brian Whitney out in front. Right now filing in just behind, and that Team Conti number 88 machine, it's Craig Janzak. And really, I think what this track's going to be all about would be restarts. But of course, then you got to ask the question about how many green flag runs are we going to have? I mean, if these guys keep it clean here for a while, we start to space things out. We may go green the whole race. Just as I say that, though, some trouble a little bit further back here. Jay Monin, has he gone around? It looks like he very well may have. And that number 67 truck, he gets it back going in the right direction. No caution. We keep things green, and I don't see much, if any, damage on this truck. We'll go back and get a replay in just a second. Let's make sure these guys keep it sorted out up front first, as we've got a little bit of 2x2 action here. That's the 38. Justin Potts on the inside, excuse me, on the outside, rather, racing alongside with George Young, who's in the 48 machine there. Ford F-150, good-looking Ewing paint scheme on that Ford F-150. And right now, I mean, 2x2 through the mid-portions of the pack up front is really where things have single-filed out. And just as we mentioned that, go back and show you exactly what happened here to Jay Monin with just a couple laps in the books. Is he going to lose this thing all by himself? He very well may. Watch it as it's going to be coming through 3 and 4 here. Actually, take that back. That's 1 and 2. Here we go. Now they're into 3 and 4, and you see the 67. Yeah, as he gets on the corner entry, I don't know if he's hopping the rear wheels or what, but just goes around. He doesn't fully loop it. Instead, it's almost like it kind of stays at about a 45-degree angle and eventually drives itself down the banking. He tags the inside concrete, and unfortunately for him, He's not going to have a chance to just go and get that fixed. And as we mentioned, that caution is now out for more trouble. This time it's one in the wall up top. That's Justin Potts. Just as we were getting ready to go back to live view after taking a look at the replay of what happened to Jay Mana and talking about he may not get a break. Well, now he's going to get one here. With just 7 laps in the book, it'll be 8 as they cross the line right there. He'll get back around the pace car. So no lap lost here for Justin Potts in this spin. And again, I don't see too much damage really anywhere on this truck. Let's go back and see again what brought out the first caution of the night. Here we go. Watch it. We'll go first in full speed here. And I think this is going to be a similar setup and incident to what we saw for Jay Monin, where he's just, as he's getting into the corner, trying to carry so much speed that the rear tires just aren't quite able to take it. And eventually, he loops it around, overcorrects right there at the end. And you can see that's what actually gives him that little bit of contact in the outside wall. Watch this, though, from his cockpit view. This is going to do a little bit more justice as to what I'm talking about. Listen to how much throttle he's trying to carry here right before he gets on the brakes to get into the corner. Just a little bit too much speed. It's going to be something that a lot of drivers, I think, are going to continue to fight here early, especially as, again, you're kind of trying to find that rhythm. It is open setups, so you can make adjustments. Everybody's designed to run different when you go on open setups. Some drivers are going to be set up more for the short run, others the long run. But again, you do have that opportunity to make some adjustments to potentially prevent issues like this. If you feel like you want your truck to carry a little bit more speed into the corners, maybe you make some adjustments for that. If you want your truck to be a little bit better in the long run and have to just be more conservative yourself. Either way, the 38, just a one-truck issue right there, and lucky because, man, I mean, he had a lot of trucks near him. And as we kind of show you that zoomed out view, you can see it there. He had about probably 6 different trucks that could have potentially ran into him, especially if he would have drove back down the racetrack. It's almost kind of a heads-up piece of driving right there from the 38 to yank it back towards the wall. Even though he cost himself some damage, well, he certainly saved a lot of people there from a big incident and potentially some major damage as well. All right, so as we go back live now, and we talked about opportunities here to pit under some of these yellows would maybe be some of your only opportunities, because track position here, I think, is going to be key pretty much all night. Now, granted, it's a pretty short race, all things considered, 120 laps. Again, at a half-a-mile racetrack, translates to only 60 miles in distance, and, you know, it feels like we've only been running for a couple of minutes, and we're already over 10 laps through this 120-lap event. So Brian Whitney, Craig Janzak line up in row 1, Randy Richard and Stoney Benfield. Row 2, Jason Ethery rounding out the top 5, and here we go. Green flag is back in the air at Five Flags. It's a great restart for the front row. Further back, though, 3 wide already as, man, it looked like maybe a little bit of a slow restart there for a couple guys in that second row. 34 trying to take advantage now on the bottom. Can Ethery clear that outside Team Conti machine of Randy Richard? Boy, he's certainly trying. Randy here holding on, just hoping to sneak back to that inside line. He's not going to be able to do it, and he'll stay side by side off at turn number 4, the 55. James Harris, he now looks to the inside. How about the 15 machine? Jason Taylor looks like he's actually moving forward on that outside line. As these guys continue to battle further back, you can see a couple more trying to jockey for some position here on this restart. Brian Hine, the 13, he's got a battle just behind him here. That's Caleb Forsyth, along with Billy Brewer and a couple others. In fact, they go 3 wide right there, just briefly down the front stretch. Quickly, they sort it back out. And as quick as they were 3 wide, they're just about back to single file now as they get towards turn 3. Ooh, man, big moment right there for the 776 of Caleb Forsyth. I don't know if he just got a little bit loose on entry. 1 around. Trouble further back. And that's going to be Jay Monin again in the 67 truck. Second time he's spun in that same area here tonight. The driver out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Again, I don't think he gets any major damage here. The front end of his Toyota Tundra looks pretty clean. That's the good news, but certainly tough sledding here early for Jay Monin. Let's go back and see what happens to him here to bring out the second caution of the night. Looks like he was racing alongside right here, the 4 machine, and watch what happens. By the way, the 4 is Andrew Hale. This is going to be, again, getting into turn 3. And we'll go first here, see if we can get to the chopper view. How about the blimp cam? This one's a pretty good shot here. Watch those two. You see kind of at the bottom left of your screen, bottom center. And again, as they're getting into the corner, Andrew Hale taking that little bit more of a shallow entry. 67 trying to roll up top. Does the 4 just wash up here? Looks like he does. Yeah, Andrew Hale just coming up the racetrack, trying to get that truck to turn. And eventually he tags the 67 of Jay Monin in the left rear. And that sends Jay right around here. And again, like I said, similar to that first wreck, he pretty much hits the wall in almost the same spot. You can probably trace the tire tracks. but very, very lightly. Again, you're not going all that fast at a short track like Five Flags. It's only about half a mile in total. So the good news is when you wreck, you usually aren't going to get too much damage. But again, he's not going to feel too good about it here. He's going to lose whatever track position he had been trying to gain back and now have to try to do it again. But he does stay on the lead lap. That's the good news. We'll go ahead and take a couple more views of this one. So it looked like from pit lane 2, there's the contact, and there was a couple trucks, again, right in the vicinity there that got very, very lucky to miss this one. I think one of them may have been, let's see if we get a better view, Michael Hill. I think actually blinked out just a little bit right as this wreck happened, which cuts him a break here, and you'll see why. We'll go to the cockpit view. In fact, we might skip just a row back to the 35 of Blake Tidwell, who's going to have an even better angle. And watch this. He sees the one truck blink out right in front of him, and then, oh man, trying to miss all of them. Whew, boy, close call right there for Michael Hill and Blake Tidwell. A good job to miss that one. Keep their trucks clean. Keep things going in the right direction. One more look here from the onboard view of Andrew Hale, at least the gearbox and nose view. As there's the contact that starts to send the 67 around and then eventually drives through. Continues on without any further incident. All right, so back live and back up front as the lights are off on the pace car. Getting ready to get back to green flag racing yet again. And there's a left turn. Back into the restart zone we go. Green flag back in the air at Five Flags. And another great restart for the 76 of Brian Whitney. Him in the 88, Craig Janzak. They've been going at it all night so far for the green flag action that we've had. Haven't had a chance to focus on the two too much yet, but I'm sure we're going to be talking quite a bit about them here at the end of this race, especially they stay bumper to bumper as they've been so far. A little bit further back, though, all the 2x2 action starting right around the 5th position. Jason Nethery and that 34 machine trying to jump to the outside of Randy Richard. Not going to be able to do it. Oh, wait a minute, though. Richard slips up a little bit off at 2. 34 is going to try to take advantage again, and really, I think maybe you could argue that Five Flags one of the few racetracks where this outside line actually has a chance to work. It's very tough to do, though, and I think the only opportunity is going to be on these new tires, or at least I should say new ore tires. But once these things wear out, especially if we get into a long green flag run, it may not be the case anymore. Either way, right now, Jason Nethery at 34 continuing to try to work on that outside, and he's going to get it to work for him. He's able to get right around Randy Richard, picks that spot up, go back a few more positions to Toby Clifford. And right now, he's all out of shape, too. The 23 there, you see how to catch it coming off a 2. He'll lose a spot now to the 55 of James Harris. And so all that battling now is starting to single file out further back. Meanwhile, up front, the two leaders. And boy, these two have been pretty much, it feels like, kind of lights out from the drop of the green. And speaking of the green, it's like the yellow back out. Some trouble further back again. Trying to figure out exactly who got sideways in this one here. As, ooh, well, seeing that Jay's got smoke coming out of the truck and immediately took it to the pits. Not a good sign. I have a feeling that this may have been something that involved the 67. Jay modded it. Looks like it is. We'll go back and look at it again. Third caution of the night with just 25 laps in the books. And here we go. Watch the 67. Is this going to be getting down into the same corner? No, this is actually coming off at turn 4. And he's just going to get in the throttle a little bit too early. The back of the truck starts to come around. That time it is a big hit. Significant damage there to the left front. And immediately takes the tow bill. And you see when smoke comes out of the cockpit like that in iRacing, that's a good indication that he has blown the motor up in that truck. So he's not done for the night. Everybody does have that one fast repair, but towing time is what's really going to kill him. He will come out at least probably a handful of laps down or so. Let's give you another view. Again, it's just, this can be kind of a setup issue. It can be just a little bit too much aggression. There's so many factors that can play into this, but really what it sounds like and looks like is, again, that he's just getting on the throttle a little bit too soon right here, coming out of the corner. And I apologize for speeding that up. We'll slow it down here. But again, I think he's just trying to carry a little bit too much throttle a little too soon here out of the corner. You're trying to kind of get that truck angled straight before you really put the hammer down, and unfortunately gets it just a little bit too soon. You see the back end starting to go around, and it just happens so quick that he doesn't get much of an opportunity to try to make a correction or hold on to it. Instead, goes pretty much nose first into that inside concrete barrier. You saw immediately, again, took the tow bill and took it back to the pits. And so he's going to have some damage to get fixed before we'll see him back out on the racetrack here tonight. All right, so back live and back up front again we go, where the 76 of Brian Whitney, who has been pretty dominant so far here tonight. I think he might have led every single lap up to this point. Continues to lead. Craig Janzak up one position from where he started this race at. and continues to run in that second spot. Stoney Benfield and Jason Ethery back in row 2. Randy Richards still rounding out the top 5. Toby Clifford Ridd back in 6th. Jason Taylor 7th. George Young in 8th with Brad Thacker in 9th. And Billy Brewer currently rounding out the top 10. Got one blinking pretty bad back here. Looks like is that the 112 machine or the 13 of Brian High. He gets it sorted out now as green flag back in the air. Again, a tough restart for the second and third row right here. And they all get it sorted out now. But boy, these front two have just been all over these restarts, getting good jumps and a lot of speed to carry pretty quickly after Craig Janzak. Right now rolling in second, but again, just staying nice and patient. He knows that him and Brian Whitney, at least at the moment, seem to be the two fastest trucks on the racetrack. And of course, you got a great setup behind you in the 88 with Team Conti. Just going to see if he can make something happen here in the short run before we get another caution. That way, at least he's got the opportunity to try to lead some laps here at some point, but nothing doing just yet. I think the best opportunity here is going to be to get to the inside of that 76. He's getting close. That wider entry is just helping the 76 a little bit more on exit right now. Janzak, though, going to continue to fight here and see if he can find something in some way to ultimately get around Brian Whitney. By the way, we do have one onboard view here tonight, and it is that second place running truck right now of Craig Janzak. Let's show you exactly what it looks like here from the onboard shot and show you what kind of a lap around Five Flags looks like. And again, not much throttle time. It's only a half-a-mile racetrack. Pretty high banking, though, in the corners. Not quite as much as Bristol Motor Speedway, but enough that you can certainly still run these trucks probably up close to, if not over 100 miles an hour at top speed. And then down through the corner, it's all about getting that kind of diamond approach and arc off of the corner. And then, man, look at these guys just fighting the steering wheel. Janzak just making sure that he keeps this truck under him. Also, at the same time, trying to make a move. Here we go. He will get to the inside of 76 right here. Is it enough to make it stick? Whitney's going to have to acknowledge he's there, but pinching him down enough where Janzak really can't do much else. See, he finally gets loose off of the corner, and as a result, he's going to have to back it up, try to reset and try again here in a couple laps. And so as those two continue to battle, we go a little bit further back where it seems like things have started to single file out probably about till the top 8, top 9, and then right as you get to about that 10 spot, still a lot of side-by-side action here. The 48s, George Young leading the battle for 9th, Brian High in the 13 just behind him, and then Blake Tidwell side-by-side here with Billy Brewer in the 35 machine. Blake Tidwell here, another one of the Team Conti drivers. You almost wonder if he's bringing a pretty similar setup to that second place truck, Craig Janzak, here tonight. And if he is, how that will affect the way these two run for the rest of the race. The 55, James Harris going to take another dive here to the inside. They are trying to all get clear of that 00 machine. Billy Brewer, who right now kind of in no man's land. We talked about making that outside work in the early portions of the run, but certainly doesn't seem like the 00 is making that much ground up, if any. There he goes. He's going to lose it. The 00 goes around off the corner. Billy Brewer, just as we were talking about it being stuck on the outside, is going to go around, brings out the 4th caution here of the night. And so, yet again, we will have the opportunity here for another restart. And we are not even halfway through this 120-lap, 60-mile event yet. And we have already seen cautions kind of dominate. And if you're a driver up front, that tells me one thing, and that is track position, track position, track position. You can't lose it because you may not have enough time to necessarily work through the field and get it all back. It's like there is a little bit of left front damage on this 00 truck, so he's going to bring it down to the pits for at least some repairs, if nothing else. As we look through the rest of the field, Janzak, no pit here. That's a little bit of a shocking takeaway, only because your leader, the 76 of Brian Whitney, he decided that it was time to go in here for some tires. It's almost 40 laps in. Janzak feeling like we're not done with cautions yet. Comfortable to stay out. And we've got a mixed bag here, but again, Brian Whitney let him down. Jason Nethery, Toby Clifford, Kevin Ward, and Billy Brewer, all the trucks that came in here to pit. Of course, for Billy Brewer, it was about getting a little bit of damage fixed here. You got to assume he didn't just lose himself a lap. I don't think he did. Speaking of him, let's go back and see what brought out here. 4th caution of the night. So Billy Brewer here on the outside, I think it's going to be pretty simple. He just loses it. Similar to what we saw in that last caution for Jay Monin, where just, the outside not quite as grippy, and he may have, again, just tried to get in the throttle a little bit too soon here, trying to not lose any more track position, and truck bouncing around just a little bit. Not the smoothest surface of all the tracks we're going to head to this season, but just that little bit of jumping was enough to get him sideways, and as soon as he got sideways, truck goes around, and the rest is history. Again, nice job, though, by the 29 machine right there to avoid that. That was about as close as it could get for William Mann Jr., but he did a heck of a job jamming on the brakes quick enough to still get himself through it without getting in. Look at this. Boy, I mean, that is quick reaction time and quick thinking as well. Nice job right there from William Mann Jr. But pretty cut and dry on that one, at least in terms of what actually caused it. We've seen this a couple times here tonight, and that may not be the last time we see it. All right, so as we go back live now, get ready to go green yet again. Pace car will make the left turn. And then back into the restart zone, and back under green we go. Craig Janczak with a great restart. This is what he has been waiting for all night. And he'll finally get the opportunity. Now trouble. The 48, George Young into the outside wall. Will he collect anybody else? No, they're going to wreck again. The 23, hard into the outside wall as well. That's Toby Clifford. Caution back out now for the 5th time here tonight. And Clifford has got some pretty significant damage from this one on the front nose of his truck. And he is going to definitely have to go in for some repairs. That may be borderline just taking that fast repair. George Young, not sure exactly how bad it was for him. He may have escaped. He's got a little bit on the right rear. And I don't think that's going to matter too much at a short track. He may be okay here. The bigger issue is, of course, going to be for Toby Clifford. Let's go back and take a look at this one here. Watch what happens. This is going to be a restart accident, so you wonder if somebody got jammed up with somebody else. Here we go. Watch the outside. George Young, the 35 behind him. Yikes. That was Blake Tidwell who, assuming just from that look, maybe misjudged the breaking point here of George Young and when he was going to get out of it. See a little bit of fire out of the pipes right there, but yeah, Tidwell just kind of runs right into the back of him. Obviously, you don't think it's anything intentional or malicious. I just, again, think that maybe for Tidwell, he just misjudged the braking zone of the truck in front of him a little bit. It's very easy to do at these short tracks, and then a bit of a second incident there, which is going to be a little bit further back. We'll go back and look at that in just a moment. But I do want to show you this cockpit view here for Blake Tidwell, and let's see what it sounds like here from his point of view. That's what it looks like. And unless George Young had an issue, which, I suppose he very well could have, that's about the only conclusion I can draw from this. Watch one more time from the onboard of George Young. And that was after he already got turned, but the point is, I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary here. Yeah, I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary. That fire out of the pipes was just him letting out of the gas, and it's a tough break for George Young, who obviously not expecting that. And then as we go up there to Toby Clifford, you saw him get into that outside concrete. Watch it again here. As, again, he's going to miss the first wreck here. George Young goes in the wall, but then as they're trying to all miss it, just kind of get sandwiched together right here. That's the 84 machine on the outside of Brian Toole, who gets down into the 38 of Justin Potts. They eventually get together and hook the 23. Toby Clifford up the racetrack, and he takes the biggest hit of all of them there to that outside wall. And again, that was a pretty significant hit, enough to certainly damage this truck and potentially again have to use fast repair, and then clips the pace car, but didn't have to worry about it. So we'll wrap that one up now as green flag back in the air. And up front, a great restart again from Craig Janczak. He'll lead the entire field down in towards turn number 1. Can everybody else get through clean? A little bit of 2 and 3 wide action further back. We got one blinking. That's the 38. I believe of Justin Potts, sure enough. And ooh, now one way up the racetrack. So that may have been the 23 there. Is that Toby Clifford? No, Clifford a little bit further back. Can't tell who that was. It just made a pit stop. That is Blake Tidwell. Not sure if he had another issue here or if he got some sort of penalty. You see a little bit of damage there on the left front. Maybe rather the right front. Either way now, the rest of the field still rolling strong here. 48 laps complete. So by the way, we are about 12 away from the halfway point in this race. If you're just tuning in, it's been dominated by caution so far. But in terms of up front battling for the lead, it's been all Janczak and Whitney. As you see Blake Tidwell there now working his way out of the pits. But it is Janczak right now who currently leads. Randy Richards chasing at second. The gap between those two right now sits at about 0.6 of a second or so. As we ride on the rear view here of Randy Richard. He's trying to hold off quite a charging group behind him now. As Brad Thacker, Stony Benfield trying to see what they can do. There's the tailgate cam for the 4 machine. Excuse me, the 75 machine currently sitting in 4th. He's looking back, though, with the 55 machine of James Harris. He's also trying to fend off a Chevy and a Ford here. Brian Whitney and Jason Taylor as caution back out. More trouble. You see one spun in the background there. Is that Justin Potts? Yes, it is. Justin Potts goes around and now brings out our 6th caution of the night. So he will be able to get back rolling in the right direction here. So 52 complete. This next restart may be close to the halfway point. Let's go back here and take a quick look at this one here. Watch it first. We'll go first to the blimp cam as he gets in the corner here. Does he just carry too much speed? He's blinking, but overall, yeah, it looks like that one's just going to be a similar incident to what we saw in a couple of the early cautions in this race. Just carrying a little bit too much speed in the corner, and when you get on the brakes, you got to be very careful depending on the way you've got the setup kind of fixed. Is in this case, let's see if we can get a cockpit view. The problem here was he was blinking out during this incident, but here we go. Watch from the cockpit view. It's just maybe hopping the rear wheels a little bit. It's hard to say, but overall, that's usually kind of, I would say, kind of the kicker at any of these short tracks. You see it a lot at Martinsville sometimes, where you just get into the corner too hot. If you're trying to either just put too much wheel into it or too much brake into it to slow yourself down too late, you start getting those rear wheels hopping around. It just immediately spins the back of the truck out, and once it does, just nothing you can do. He hits the inside wall there, and doesn't look like he really gets too much damage, so he's okay in that aspect, but still obviously going to have to go in here for some tires. He's going to lose a bunch of track position. Maybe have to go get some repairs as well. All right, so yet again, we'll set ourselves back up front here, live where lights are still on the pace car. Craig Janzak still leads the way here at Five Flags. Randy Richards second, with Stoney Benfield third, James Harris fourth, and Brian Whitney currently rounding out your top five. Just before we get ready to get back to green flag action here, did want to let everybody know what the upcoming schedule for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series is looking like. These guys currently in a little bit of a rebrand, just a new logo, and I don't know if they're going to rename the series as well. Will be coming out shortly, but again, first race of the new season here tonight at Five Flags, and they're going to follow the official iRacing truck schedule. So next week it'll be off to Legacy Atlanta, and that will be a fun 190 laps there, and then it's off to the Chicago Street Course for the only road course, actually one of two road courses on the season. Then they'll head to Stafford Motor Speedway, followed by Homestead. Then it's off to the Super Speedway Daytona, followed by New Atlanta. And then they'll go to Circuit of the Americas and finish the season off with Phoenix Raceway. All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. 5 laps away now from halfway here at Five Flags, and it's a good restart again for Craig Janzak, who leads them all into turn number 1. Andy Richard in second, and then still a lot of 2x2 behind him, including for that second spot. And you got to keep an eye, obviously, on that 76 machine of Brian Whitney. He has been so fast so far here tonight. As just as I mentioned it, caution back out. Oh, this one, a big one here. How many's going to get collected? 4 or 5 trucks involved. 7th caution of the night. This one will take us now to halfway. Major damage for a couple of these trucks here. The front of the 15's got a little bit on the left front, but it gets worse the further back you go here. Blake Tidwell, I think he was okay. Brian High ran into it at the end. Toby Clifford got involved. George Young again. Justin Potts, I don't think he was necessarily in this one, but it's had at least 4 or 5 trucks in total involved. As we go back and look at it here, and is it going to start with the 15? It certainly looks like it is. Jason Taylor here as he gets into the corner. Same issue, just a little too much speed. Truck's going to start to go around on him, and as it does, it's going to be the mad scramble here to miss it. 56. Brad Thacker, maybe some slight contact, but just sneaks by. And then unfortunately, for the 48 and the 23, not quite so lucky. I'll tell you what, though, for Clifford right there, that could have been a whole lot worse if he would have hit that tire that separates the concrete of the pit wall from the racetrack, and gets lucky there. And then right at the end, for kind of insult to injury, you see the 13 of Brian High with not really anywhere to go. He gets involved as well. So for Toby Clifford right here, let's take another view of it. Watch for the onboard view. He's going to see this happen out in front and just get it. You'd think, it's a short track, you're not going that fast, but you're still going fast enough where when something happens that quick, you don't get all that much time to just come to a halt. So you got to kind of try to sneak around, find where the seas part, and unfortunately, a lot of guys just couldn't do that this time. Again, not really a lot of places to go. Watch it from TV3. As once the 15 goes around, slides up, everybody's going to try to go down. He eventually comes back down, and it's on from there. George Young's going to tap the outside wall. 13 runs into Justin Potts right there at the end, and then Blake Tidwell able to sneak through without any damage himself right at the last second there. Give you one more shot of this here from the second pit lane cam that we have set up here tonight, and a couple of pretty good shots. All right, so yet again, another caution. And with this caution, it will again potentially change the outcome of this race here a little bit now, because we are officially halfway through, getting ready to get back to green flag racing. Here we go. It's a good restart for the 88 of Craig Janzak, the 76 of Brian Whitney, back in that third row, getting closer to where he was before he came into pit. Back for the battle for second, though. Up to 75 of Stoney Benfield. Good-looking paint scheme on his Ford F-150 as he currently, again, sits in the second spot. He's up 3 positions from where he started this race at. Now caution out yet again here. Further back, more trouble. I wonder what brought it out this time. I can't tell here, as I didn't see anybody directly that had an issue here. Didn't get any data either on exactly who had the problem. As from what I can see here, everybody quickly got it going back in the right direction, so whoever had the issue must have corrected things pretty quickly. Now 8th caution here of the night. And so even though we are over the halfway point, we are still looking for our longest green flag run. And ooh, is this going to be the 13 machine again of Brian Hyde? Does he get some help here? Let's see. He's on the straight, and he's going to go down low. Starts slowing up. Is it because there's an accident in front? Well, it sure is close to an accident. You could certainly say that much. And then right there, they keep it rolling. But the 15 may have gotten just sideways enough. Jason Taylor to still trigger iRacing to indeed bring out the caution. Here we go. All right, so this is going to be 2, 3, and 4 where he just had the issue. And that's the last caution. So we'll go ahead and get you. Nope, I take that back. Thought for a minute it was, but it just looks so identical. So the exact spot where the 15 just had his issue, he has it again in the same way pretty much. And once it goes around here, he does a good job saving it. And again, I think that's what the 13 have been slowing up for right there out back. Brian High wanted to make sure he didn't get involved, but got just sideways enough, it looks like, to bring out the caution. And of course, that's what set us up for where we are. I'll give you another view of that. And as he spins here, nice job right there by the 35 of Tidwell and the 38 of Potts to go high and miss it. And again, a good save by the 15, but it's been a struggle spot tonight for a lot of trucks getting into turn 3. It's been a very, very tricky part of the racetrack for guys to deal with, and continues to be an issue now, even with 65 of 120 laps complete. As we will now set ourselves up for a restart here with 66 laps complete. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. Hope that everybody is having a good Tuesday evening, Tuesday night. Depending on what part of the country you are in, we appreciate you joining us here on PGR eSports. And again, you are watching the Grindstone Developments Truck Series here at Five Flags Speedway. All right, pace car. It's been a busy man so far. He'll make the left turn yet again as green flag. Now back in the air, 66 laps complete, and a big catch right there by the 34 truck. Whoa, man, Jason Nethery. Big save, but it's not going to translate all the way out back because the 13 truck goes around as well. That's Brian High. And for Brian High now, again, we just talked about the wreck he was in. He gets in another one, and these guys up front not really getting much of a chance to race at this rate. Let's see, I'm thinking he's going to get some help from out back here. I think it's going to stem partially from a checkup that happens out in front. So watch what starts us all off. You see the 35 accelerating. The 13 hasn't gone yet. Maybe arguably because he sees the big checking up out front, and Tidwell just runs right into the back of him, sends him around, and he runs straight into the inside concrete for rolling backwards and backs that truck into the concrete as well. Give you a bit of an onboard view of this here. Let's see. Let's go to both onboards and listen. Was the 13... He's trying to be conservative in the throttle. He sees guys struggling in front of him, so he's trying to take it a little bit easy here. Tidwell, he feels like he's got to go, and so he's going to see everybody get going. He's going to get on the gas and maybe tries to shoot to the middle, but if he just misjudges it. Either way, he does run into the back of Brian High, and I got to think Brian's probably not going to be too happy with that one, as that cost him pretty big time. Let's get one more look at this here before we go take another look. I mean, that may very well be a fast repair for this 13 truck. That was some pretty significant contact. I think the bigger question on this restart was what in the world happened here to the 34 of Jason Nethery. Does he just spin the tires? I believe he does. As you're coming through a corner, and yeah, he does. Just spins the tires big time. Makes a heck of a catch, but in the process lost a whole bunch of track position just for the caution to come out and force him to lose all that track position, but certainly still a lucky break nonetheless. So it looks like we'll go back green now with, I believe, 50 laps to go here in this 60-mile, 120-lap event. And so as these guys do get ready to get back to green flag racing, lights on the pace car are off. And so we'll see if for Craig Janzak what he can do now, knowing that Brian Whitney, the truck that he'd been battling with the most all night, has now made it back to that front row in that second position. But this time it's flipped. Earlier it was the 76 who had the inside and the advantage, and Janczak couldn't find a way around him. Now it's Whitney who's going to have to do the hard work. Let's see what he can do on the outside. Again, should have a little bit fresher tires. And Craig Janczak, let's see what use he can make of him. Green flag back in the air. Good restart up front. Craig quickly able to get clear the 76 machine of Brian Whitney. And right as he does that, they stay 2 by 2 further back. The 776 machine. What can he do right here? That's Caleb Forsyth. And really everybody in the middle of this pack knows now that with 50 laps to go and with as many cautions as we've seen so far, I almost think you kind of have the tendency to get more aggressive here, because you're thinking to yourself, we may well get another caution, and if we do, you don't want to be trapped back here with only a couple laps to go in this race. There's no way you can work your way to the front. So go now while you can. I mean, if you've got fresh tires in the back, take them as trouble. Here we go, another incident. This is going to be right in the middle of 3 and 4. Caution is out again. And it's the 23 machine of Toby Clifford, George Young in the 48, and the 15 again of Jason Taylor. And by the way, I was looking at it here. I'm not exactly sure what happened. We'll go back and take a replay. But you wonder, just with what we've seen tonight, is it a similar incident again? So there's the 15 machine. And let's see if we can make sure we got this right. Let's go to the chopper view first. Oh, so the incident does start in front this time. Okay, I thought for a minute the 15 spun in the same spot. To say it is really proven difficult here tonight for some people. Just with, and again, it's nothing that the drivers themselves are doing wrong, because it's some of these drivers that you've seen have no issues, and then all of a sudden they're having issues now. It's just really, really tough, especially when you've been in one incident. It kind of throws you out of that rhythm. Try to find it back here, and for George Young. Now, don't forget, I will say that some of these incidents that we're seeing this quickly on these restarts is more so drivers on cold tires. You got to give these tires a chance to warm up and actually have some grip, stability through these corners. And for George Young there, it certainly wasn't completely out of shape, but it was enough to knock him sideways in the 23 here as well. It's just going to get sideways kind of in the same fashion here. I mean, they never make actual contact, I don't believe. Not there, not there. No, it doesn't look like it. Certainly looks like the 23 just gets loose, but more so in the center of the corner. Let's see if we can get a better angle of it here. Watch the 23. So the 48 does get loose. He starts sliding up, but yeah, I mean, at that point, the 23 had also gotten himself sideways out of shape. You got two trucks sideways, basically blocking the racetrack. Blake Tidwell is going to just sneak through. Looks like the 27 is going to follow the 38 of Potts, gets into the back of them, but they're okay. It's these two, though, who run into the bottom inside concrete. See the 53 there, Randy Richards. He's going to make it through okay. And then again, I believe it was the 15 out back who also got sideways in this. Let's watch from the onboard view of Jason Taylor here and see what he sees. So he drives out of it initially, but then overcorrects, spins up, and does a little bit of a 360 here before he's eventually going to, I believe, bring it to a halt. Or does he keep going? No, he does keep going. So that's the good news there for the 15. Again, another incident here is going to give us even less laps now for these drivers up front. Now, speaking of up front, get ready to get back to green flag racing again. Now 77, 120 laps complete as green flag is back in the air, and it's a good restart for Craig Janczak. Quickly takes the lead away from that 76. Dial in is trouble again further back. Caution out again. And it looks like this time it's Brian Toole and Jason Taylor. Two trucks involved. 11th caution of the night here, as we are just about now 3/4 of the way through this race, or excuse me, 2/3 I should say. And so as the 15 gets back rolling on the inside of the racetrack, Jason Taylor, bad night, continues to get worse here. Let's see what happens on this one as he's bringing it around. This is going to be off of turn number 2, and just some slight contact there with the 84 machine of Brian Toole, who had nowhere to go. And again, this is getting into the corner, so this time, instead of getting loose, maybe gets a little tight and washes up the track, just carrying a lot of speed. And actually, no. What this is it looks like he thought he was getting loose. And we'll watch from the chopper view. Watch this. Right here, it's almost like he thinks he's getting loose, so he tries to correct, but he's really not. If he is, it's so minuscule that as soon as he tries to correct, He overcorrects big time, gets right into the 84, Brian Toole, and then they're going to collect a couple more from here. You see Brian Toole going to slide right up into that outside wall, kind of where it banks in a little bit. And an access road for some of the safety workers. And then you can see the 15 machine of Jason Taylor comes to a halt up there with him. So watch this again. But this time, let's see if we can get a bit of a different angle here. We'll go to the chopper view. Watch the 15. Let's see, does he look loose here when he makes this overcorrection? Watch the truck as he gets in the corner. Yeah, he definitely looks like he's getting maybe a little bit loose. But again, you got to think that that's kind of just a little bit natural for what the truck's going to do getting into the corner. But, you know, with the way that kind of his race is gone and the two incidents he just had before this, you certainly can't blame him there for being a little bit aggressive on thinking he was going around and trying to make the correction. But that's a tough break for the 84. I think for Brian Toole, that's either the first or second incident that he's been involved in here tonight and has not caused either of them. So things certainly not really going his way at the moment, but nonetheless, I think he'll be okay. I don't think he sustained any major damage from it. That is still a pretty good lick from those two. Getting into that outside concrete wall. So back live again. We'll try it for the 12th time here tonight. Green flag is back in the air as we are now 83 of 120 laps complete. Less than 40 to go. And a great restart for the 88. But look at this. Brian Whitney trying to sneak to the inside. Can he make it happen off of turn 2? Yes, he can. Brian Whitney's going to pull right alongside Craig Janczak. Janczak got to figure out what to do right here. The 88 knows if he loses this track position right now, he may not get it back. Whitney's going to keep fighting hard on the inside. The 88 dives in deep on the outside. And it actually looks like this outside working pretty well right now for Janczak, but he just can't quite get clear to dive down in front of the 76 in the corner. That time, Janczak able to pinch him down a little more. Whitney gets loose. Janczak's going to take the position back. And how about that? It may have only been a couple laps, but that was a heck of a battle right there between the 76 and the 88 truck. Janczak going to go away with the win for that battle. Now the 75, the 00. Billy Brewer and Stoney Benefield trying to take advantage. They won't have the opportunity, though. As caution back out, trouble further back. Is it Toby Ridd? I apologize, Toby Clifford. Sure enough, it is. And for Clifford here, another driver where just a bad night continues to get worse. Is now 86 of 120 laps complete, and he is just going to be able to stay in front of the pace car. But as we do get back to the green flag, it'll be probably closer to about 30 laps to go. Let's go back and take a look at this one here. See what happens here to Toby Clifford as he's coming in towards turn number 3. He's going to dive it in on the outside and just, again, truck gets loose. Starts to go around. Looks like he's going to save it. Overcorrects a little, but also gets ran into the back of, I think that was a 27 of Michael Hill that hit him. Again, just kind of in that same spot that's been giving a lot of drivers trouble here tonight. And then I don't think that contact from out back necessarily hurts him too bad right there. Give you one or two more angles of this here. First, let's go back to the pit lane cam. And watch once he spins in view here. He slides back down. Lucky, though, that he doesn't hit that outside wall any harder than he does. It's not all that bad. I think he's, with the damage he's already got, I don't know if he's taken his fast repair. I would assume he hasn't. So he should still be okay here. And even if he has, nothing too major here. He's going to get a little bit of rear end damage right there. And just a little bit of front end damage right there. Rolls back down and is able to get it back going. And again, stay on the lead lap. That's kind of the big win in that scenario. And though he does get involved, so let's go back live now. Lights are back off on the pace car. Craig Janczak and Brian Whitney now back up front, and this is kind of switched. So Janczak seems to be better than Whitney on the outside, or at least he did that last run. Can Whitney find a way to be a little bit better than Janczak on the outside on this run? That's going to be the big question here. And watch for that 88 to get another big jump. It'll be exactly 31 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. You see the 88 of Janczak, what he did. That was smart. Dove it down to the bottom there. Gave himself a little bit of room so he could do that to help his run off the corner. But it may not matter because Whitney was able to stick right alongside with him. That's a great restart from both of those drivers. Janczak still rolling the bottom really well right now. The 76 of Brian Whitney still up top, hanging strong. As these two continue to battle it out here 2 by 2. Brief look back, you can see 2, almost 3 wide here. The 35 Tidwell was looking to see if he could split the middle there between the 29 machine of William Mann Jr. And a little bit of a check up there in turn 3. They all keep it clean. Back up front, Brian Whitney now looking to see if he can take advantage here. And boy, I've been watching the onboard view here. We'll show you what it looks like. Again, this is Craig Janzak, and boy, he has been, I mean, all over the place. He looks like he has probably got a heart rate of at least 120, and it's going to relax now. You see the smile. He's not sure, was it him or was it, was it him or Whitney that got the position there right as the caution came back out. And another incident over in the turn 3 and 4 complex. And it looks like that's the 38 machine of Justin Potts that went around. And for Potts here, it looks like he gets it going back in the right direction. And I don't see any major damage, at least not from any of these views yet. And all right, so we'll go back and look at this one here. Again, brings out now your 13th caution here of the night. And let's see here, watch this again. This is again going through 3 and 4. Potts on the bottom, he's going to get a little bit of help. Gets a little loose through 1 and 2. No harm, no foul there. And then as he gets into 3 and 4, yeah, he does get loose. May have gotten a little bit of help there as well. Let's see. Watch this from the chopper view. Does he get tagged by the 55? He may not have. And that's, again, James Harris. No, he doesn't. This gets loose. You already had one car, or one truck, the double zero there. Billy Brewer up in the outside wall. And 38 ultimately just gets loose. And then 55 trying to go around here as the 38's trying to save it. 38, no, he just overcorrects. And then corrects again. Eventually spins out. But lucky, though, to not get hit by anybody there. So kind of another lucky break, if you will, is give you one more view of this before we go back live here. Go to the pit lane view, and that was actually a bit of an interesting look. Let's see if we can look at that again here. So this is interesting. That we may have had 2 incidents here at the same time. Yeah, we did. So the caution was actually already out. The caution wasn't for Justin Potts. The caution was for the 27 of Michael Hill, who looked like had an issue back in turn 1 and 2. So watch this here. This is Michael Hill going into turn 1 and 2. I think this is actually what brought out the caution right here, as he's going to ultimately loop it around, locks it up, goes down the racetrack. He kind of saves it, but then ultimately spins out. Yeah, that's almost guaranteeably what brings out the caution. But he catches a break by getting that caution here, and that actually saves the other guys who ended up spinning out. Because more so, he just has to make sure he doesn't lose a lap, and it looks like he's able to get that truck back going quick enough that he shouldn't have to worry about it. Another tough break there for Michael Hill. Back live and back into the restart zone we go. Green flag in the air. It's a great jump for the 76 of Brian Whitney. Janzak made a pit stop, so he is no longer at the front, but the middle of the field. This is where it's going to be chaotic. This is going to be a very tough stretch of trucks to try to get through here. And everybody's still 2x2 all the way up front. And oh, watch out, some trouble here. Another one spinning. Caution. Caution is back out. As Janzak's actually in the pit. I'm not sure what happened here to the 88. He may have gotten a penalty. We'll have to bring him up in just a minute, but we got multiple cars in the pits. This is a mess. And not actually even showing what data brought out the caution here. As we approach 20 laps to go. This race quickly coming to a conclusion, even with all the cautions. But let's go back now and see what brings out this one here. Getting a report now that it may have been somewhere right around where Brian Toole had been running. Looks like that's a 27 on the inside. And again, going into turn 3, cold tires. 27 gets loose, corrects, gets into the 84 Brian Toole. And that's, I think, 3 incidents now tonight that for Brian, he's just been the innocent bystander. Nowhere to go. And then Michael Hill immediately just pays the tow bill, takes it back to the pits. You got to wonder if for him, he's decided to call it for the night. Bam. Pretty big contact in the rear end, but I think even heavier contact for the 84 there of Brian Toole, who really just didn't even see it coming, didn't have a chance to really react or try to save it much. Watch it from his onboard view. This is what it looks like. Coming through 1 and 2. You saw one truck blinking a little bit up front. They're okay here, and then gets tagged, stunts around, and it's a big hit. Boy, you saw that rip off the left front fender. As we go and take one more shot of this here from the second pit lane cam. So the other big question that I had here was, what in the world happened to Craig Janzak? Felt like he was in such a good position, and I don't know what exactly sent him to the back. Something sent him there. And it's whatever it was. I don't know if he pits or if he had a separate issue here. Let's see. So does he pit here under that last caution? I just want to go back, take a quick look here before we go back live. And Janczak, yeah, he does. So he does pit. See if we can speed this up a little bit here to see if he gets any sort of a penalty look here after he finishes the pit stop. Or if it's just a whole separate issue altogether here for Janczak. He goes in and looks like he's going to take right side tires. Takes left side tires. Drops the jack and rolls his way back out. I don't see anything there that would cause for a penalty for Janczak, so he just pits, and I don't know if it was the right call. He makes the call nonetheless. So as we go back live now, the 76 still leading the way. Brian Whitney, as we just got back under the green flag, and just 19 laps to go. It'll be 18 as they cross the line. This time, you get the feeling that the aggression level is not going to go down at all anytime soon, because 18 laps here is going to go by in a hurry. That's only 9 miles remaining here at Five Flags. A little bit of 3 wide back here. Janczak trying to work his way through all of the traffic. He's able to make it through a couple there in just a few sets of corners. 48 of George Young trying to make a bit of a comeback as well. Now he's going to start to get to some of the tougher cars. Janczak, much fresher tires, but with only 17 laps to go. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get all the way back there. He makes it around the 13. Now he gets around the 4. Next up is Justin Potts in the 38. Janczak still on the move. He's going to be driving for his life here to try to get back to the front. He's going to get a caution. That'll help him out here. That's what he's going to need some of here as we go back and again try to figure out exactly what went wrong here. Randy Richard looks like he's gone around. Did Kevin Ward have an issue as well? Get reports that he very well may have. So we will now see a restart closer to probably 10 laps to go. Let's go back and see what sparks this one here. Now your 15th caution of the night. And you see the 53 here on the outside. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, on corner exit coming off 4. Randy Richard, again, just getting on the throttle a little too soon. He's going to get loose, and you can get a feeling this is going to be a pretty big hit. Tidwell clips him as he goes by, but overall I think the 35 is okay. And then there's the contact for the 53. Actually not all that bad. And how is Kevin Ward going to get involved? Well, he spun over on the exit of turn 4, so almost 2 separate incidents that kind of happened at the same time. Kevin Ward's okay, though. It doesn't look like he hits anything. Randy Richard, a little bit of damage to the rear end, and obviously going to have some on the front end of that race truck as well. Give you one more look at this here before we go back live. Go to the TV3 cam and watch as you kind of see both incidents here in the same camera view. Kevin Ward out back spinning, and then now 53, Randy Richard going around as well. And lucky, though, that truck did go down to the inside. Otherwise, that could have collected a few drivers. But they seem to get away with one right there. Okay, so 14, going to be 13 laps to go. As Brian Whitney leads the field. Stoney Benfield in second. Blake Tidwell third. Jason Nethery back in fourth with James Harris currently rounding out your top 5. And by the way, did want to again mention what the track conditions were looking like here tonight. And this is a big part of it. And normally you'll hear me mention this at the tip of a broadcast. But here tonight, with again it being a short track, these guys, the caution, rather the parade laps, are very short. But notice that number that I pulled up there on your screen on the right side, that whole little setup. That is all the weather elements. And one of the things that I want you to look at is that bottom number, track temp. 138 degrees. That is a very, very hot track temp at really any racetrack, much less a short track. And the reason I bring that up is that also could be one of the big reasons that these guys have had so many issues here tonight. Is not only do those tires wear out a bit quicker, but they get slick. When it's this hot out, it is hot and slick. So keep that in mind here over the course of these last 11 laps, because it's going to be aggressive. Everybody going for it. Brian Whitney going to be looking for his first win of the season. Him and Craig Janczak have been the fastest 2 all night. Can Janczak get back to the front? Can the 76 hold on, or can somebody else find a way to get up here and steal it? Here we go, back into the restart zone. Green flag in the air, just 11 laps to go at Five Flags. Good restart for Brian Whitney on the inside of the racetrack. Wrapping the bottom, so far so good off of turn 2. Everybody out back, 2 and 3 wide. Janczak in the middle. The 776 of Caleb Forsyth on the bottom, going to try to hold off the 88. You can see Janczak getting impatient pretty quickly here with some of these guys. He wants to get back to the front, but he's going to have a long way to go to try to do it. How about the 35, though, Blake Tidwell? What a comeback for this guy after being in a few wrecks towards the middle and late portions of this race. He has really been able to rebound here, kind of bring it back together when it matters most. Now has himself in position here with just 9 laps to go here at Five Flags. It's going to run out quickly. Janczak desperately trying to get around Forsyth. He can't seem to do it right now. You know, the frustration maybe starting to set in here, but what do you do? Janczak going to look for another move. Nothing doing that time either. And, ooh, 776 got loose. That'll allow Janczak to get to the inside. I still think he's going to need at least one more caution, maybe even a couple to have a chance. But he's running out of laps here. Janczak still in the middle as they single file out a bit further back. Brian Whitney leads up front. How about Stony Benfield now settling into the second stop? Blake Tidwell, trouble. The 55 into the wall. Caution back out. Now the 38 of Justin Potts goes around. James Harris, the first truck that went spinning. And then Justin Potts on the back end of 3 and 4 goes around as well. So with just 7 laps to go, this is going to be borderline, taking us into our first overtime attempt here of the night. Let's go back and look at what sends the 55 around. As a contact, does he just get loose? Looks like he's just going to get loose. No surprise there. Turn 3. It has been kind of the monster getting everybody tonight. And the 55 on the inside there, as Blake Tidwell just gets loose, goes around, eventually overcorrects into the outside wall, but not very hard. That's not much contact. He should be okay. And you saw Justin Potts here in the secondary portion of this incident. Sees the spin, trying to make it through. He gets loose and then ultimately gets up into the 15. And that sends that 38 all the way around. He saves it as well, though, with not too much damage. So he'll be able to get it looped back in the right direction here and continue on without too much of an issue. And as we look at one more angle here, this one from pit lane 2. You know, one thing I want to mention here is, I know we still got a whole season with these guys, and this is a very interesting track to start the season off. I don't see it in many leagues. And the reason I want to mention that is because what we're seeing tonight, I don't want that to be something that everybody thinks is going to be the rest of the season. It is not. It's a short track. It's a very difficult short track at Five Flags. It's aggressive. You can make both lanes work. That aggression has led to a lot of trouble here tonight for a lot of different drivers. And the hot track temps certainly not helping. But again, this is not a trend that you're going to see for the rest of the season. Next week, it's on to Legacy Atlanta. I think you're going to see a lot cleaner race, and I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. You can see a lot of green flag racing throughout this season, but tonight has certainly been a bit of a chaotic one for everybody. But now as they'll line up for what could potentially be the final restart, it's going to be Brian Whitney in the lead with Stony Benfield second, and Craig Janczak back and forth to his inside Blake Tidwell third. Keep an eye on those two right here. Caleb Forsyth back in 5th, Brad Thacker 6th, Jason Nethery in 7th with William Mann in 8th, Justin Potts in 9th. Jason Taylor rounding out your top 10. So Janczak, I mean, he really has to basically get around this 75 within the first corner or two. He's not going to have much time. 3 laps. Green. Here we go. Who's going to win it? Green flag back in the air at Five Flags, and another great restart for the 76 of Brian Whitney. And can the rest of the field hold it together? Remember, these guys have got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. Looks like Craig Janczak may be stuck. Doesn't look like there's anybody who goes. Whoa. Is that Brian High who has trouble now further back? Will this bring out the caution? He comes to just about a halt, and it will. Caution is out. So these guys will have another attempt at it, and it'll be headed into overtime now. As looks like another truck involved, at least one, maybe 2. George Young, one of them there in the 48, and then Kevin Ward in the 112 going to get involved in this one as well. All right. We talked about that these guys may get another shot at it here, and I think that's what Janczak and Tidwell were going to need to even have a shot here with the way things were setting up. But before we talk about that, let's go back and look at it here. And it's just going to be, again, more chaos. And at this point, it's now starting to become more of a product of just a couple laps to go in the race, and everybody desperate to get any position that they can. But Brian High here, the first issue on the backstretch. Watch the 13 truck kind of on the inside middle of your screen. Just gets loose coming off the corner, and bam, oh, that's a big hit. Maybe been one of the biggest hits we've seen tonight. The 13 goes head on to that inside wall, about the fastest point on the racetrack. And then watch this again here. Go to a bit of a different angle here, because we saw Kevin Ward and George Young get involved in the secondary portion of this incident. And for George Young, it's going to be an issue getting into the corner here with just driving it in a little too deep. Starts to get loose on the inside. You see the 84. Ryan Toole gets loose. 112, nowhere to go. The 55, some contact. Just incident after incident here has really been the story for about 3/4 of this race. And you see the 13, there's that big hit. Bam! And then the 48 getting loose. As George Young goes around, starts to slide up the racetrack, gets T-boned And that's pretty good damage there on the 55 as well. You see the front grille caved in pretty much. Looks like he kind of hit a light pole. But these three, I think, are going to be able to continue on even without coming into fixed damage. The 13 sees smoke out of the front end. That may officially end the night right there for Brian High after the contact on that incident. So as we go back live, get ready to try this yet again. Brian Whitney, your leader. And now look at this. Craig Janzak back to second. Fresh tires. Big opportunity. He's got looks like a smile on his face. I think he knows the opportunity that might be knocking on the doorstep right here. Everybody wants to win the first race of the season. And these two have, I hate to say it, but they've been the class of the field. You got to give it to them. We haven't had a ton of green flag racing, and so for the guys that brought in long run setups, they really didn't get an opportunity to show what they had here tonight. But it won't matter now because it's going to come down to a short run, a 2-lap shootout with overtime rules enforced. We have to make it around one time. Grab the white flag to make this race official. Otherwise, we'll rack them up, try it again. We've got 2 attempts total. Can we make it happen? Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Good restart for Brian Whitney. Janzak quickly tries to file in line behind him. These two still lead the field right now. Blake Tidwell trying to hold on to that third spot on the outside. Stoney Benfield's going to take it. What a move by the 75 as here we go. Coming off of turn 4. Can we make it? White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Five Flags. Brian Whitney trying to take home the first win of the season. Janzak's going to have one more shot at him here. Will he give him a little bit of bumper? Final time down into the corner. Janzak, does he look to the inside? He'll try. Whitney gets loose. Janzak's going to go to the inside. Craig Janzak's going to steal one at the line. Brian Whitney got loose. What a finish. Craig Janzak out of nowhere on the last lap completes the comeback. He went with the tire strategy. It pays off, and how about that for some last lap chaos? What a way to finish it. Craig Janzak, your winner at Five Flags. Brian Whitney holds on to second. And you thought the 76 might have had it. All of a sudden, he gets loose. Janzak goes to the inside and wins it. He's going to burn it down and celebrate here on the front stretch. We'll get to hear from him along with Whitney and Stoney Benfield, who rounds out the top 3. What a finish. Let's go back and look at this here as he continues to burn down the house and celebrate. Team Conti got to be feeling good about that one right there as here we go. I mean, this was, I didn't think that Janzak was going to have a chance unless he moved him. Instead, Janzak goes with the respectful route, decides to race him clean for it, and it pays off. Watch this. This is right as they grab the white flag. Janzak's trying to set up a run to get here on the backstretch, something to get him close to this 76. It does work. He gets a pretty good run right here, and then as they get in the corner, the 76, he just gets loose. I don't know if he was looking in the mirror or what happened, but he gets loose, and Janzak drives right by for the win. How about it? All right, so as he continues to celebrate, taking a look at your finishing and official results here tonight. Again, Craig Janzak, he is your race winner. The first race of the season, the Five Flags 120. As Brian Whitney brings home second, Stoney Benfield in third, Blake Tidwell fourth, Brad Thacker back in fifth, Caleb Forsyth in sixth, with William Mann at seventh, Jason Ethery in eighth, with Jason Taylor in ninth and Justin Potts rounding out your top 10. Randy Richard finishes 11th, Andrew Hale back in 12th, with Toby Clifford in 13th, George Young in 14th, Brian Toole 15th, Kevin Ward back in 17th, and we skipped 16th. That was James Harrison, the 55, who took that 16th spot. And again, Kevin Ward 17th, with Michael Hill finishing back in the 18th position here tonight, and rounding out the top 20, Brian High and Billy Brewer. Jay Monin finishes in 21st, and rounding out the field here tonight did not actually make it to the green flag, and that was Kevin Kirchar, who finishes in 22nd. All right, we are going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at Five Flags Speedway. All right, welcome back to Five Flags Speedway. Going to kick things off first here tonight with your race winner for Team Conti, Craig Janzak. Craig, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, Austin, loud and clear.
Well, you get the win here tonight, but man, what about that last lap after all the chaos? It comes down to you in the 76. Did you think he was going to slip? What was going through your head through 3 and 4?
Well, I certainly knew that, thank you, by the way, and I certainly knew that he was more likely to slip than me based on the remaining tire life. I had a few slides coming back through the field there, but the Team Conti Sim Performance Silverados were clearly hooked up out here tonight with Brian and I think leading just about every lap, if not every single one. So really, really, really awesome showing to represent them, and so happy to be a part of this Grindstone Developments iRacing Truck Series here, where we can show off our talents and the people that support us. But yeah, I think he just got off the brake a little too early, trying to make sure that he'd get to the center a little bit faster than I could, knowing that I had that extra tire life, and he just cooked it a little bit, and I saw that wiggle, and I knew that I could throw it down the inside and I'd be good to go.
Well, the wiggle was all it took. So you take home the first win of the season, but man, I mean, I spoke about the chaos just a little bit earlier, and it was chaos all night, a bunch of cautions. And how do you kind of focus the mindset? How do you decide on what the strategy is when you start getting cautions pretty much every couple of laps?
Yeah, it's all about timing, and honestly, as I did it, I really thought it was a little too late. I was telling the guys that I was in chat with, including Brian himself, I think I did it too late as soon as I did it, and then we had a quick drive through to serve for a restart infraction, and I really thought I had a loaded gun and shot foot, but instead it was a good choice, and I know that this race had a lot of cautions in it, but this is one of the most challenging combos that I think the trucks have seen in a really, really long time, combined with the 135 plus degree track times that we've been seeing here tonight. This is not a representative of poor racing or poor racecraft by any of the drivers here. This is just showing what the challenge was, man. And we were able to be the one that came out on the mountain on top with pretty much just a guess on what to do with the tires.
Absolutely. You do come out on top here tonight. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to you guys, PGR eSports. This is the first time that I have been on track for one of your broadcasts. However, I have been watching you guys for a couple of months now, through a couple of different series and a couple of different streamers' presentation of your races. So awesome to hopefully start to build a relationship with you, not just you, Austin, as an individual, but PGR eSports as a whole. And thanks to you for showing up here tonight as well. Thanks to Grindstone Developments for sponsoring our series. Team Conti Sim Performance, Free Beer and Hot Wings Morning Show, Studio 3, Digital Sim Sports, Sim Magic. Thanks to everybody that's just watching out there. Mom, Dad, Aunt Sandy, Anna, thanks for watching and supporting me for everything that I do. And we'll bring it in next week at Old Style Atlanta. That's sure to produce a great show.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Craig, we appreciate you talking to us again. Congrats on the win, first of the season, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, and good job on the last name pronunciation. You nailed it.
All right, appreciate it. And now that's going to move us to your second place finisher. By the way, Craig Janzak, again, winner of the first race of the season. And how about finishing in second? So close, but just a little bit short for the 76 machine of Brian Whitney. Let's see if we can pull him up here, see how he's feeling. Hey, Brian, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you bring home second tonight. Your teammate, I say teammate, I know both you guys, from what I heard, were both representing Team Conti. At least I thought that's what I heard. And the point is, you both were very dominant here tonight. But, man, the last corner, you give it away. What went wrong?
Oh, man, I think I just got a little too excited and got into that happy pedal too much. But it was a blast. I love racing with those guys, so...
We saw a lot of cautions here tonight, and you played kind of the earlier side of the strategy. We saw you pit earlier for those 4 Goodyear tires, and it seemed like it was working out pretty well. And, for one of the trucks that was so dominant, how did you feel about the track conditions here tonight? How tough were they?
It was nothing but greasy, and that's why I decided to pit early and make the adjustment early so I can make sure that at the end of the run that I knew what adjustments I had to make and to be fast, and it just happened to work that adjustment worked for me.
Yeah, the adjustment certainly worked out. Well, hey, you may not come home with the win, but you still bring home a really good second place finish. We still got a couple of weeks to go. I say a couple. We still got quite a bit of racing to go. But either way, before we let you head out here tonight, Brian, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yes, thanks Grindstone Developments for helping out with this league here, sponsoring it, and for Team Conti for putting out the fast sets.
And as always, Brian, we appreciate you talking to us as well. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is now going to bring us to your final podium finisher here tonight as we now move back to the third spot, and that is Stoney Benfield. Let's see if we can get him up here and see how he's feeling. Hey, Stoney, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
I sure do, Austin. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Good. Well, man, you bring home a podium finish in what was a chaos-filled race. Very consistent here tonight. How'd you feel about your run overall?
You know, my truck was really, really good, and I never made a pit stop, never took tires, and I still could keep up. So I think it was a great night.
Yeah, certainly was a great night for yourself. And, you know, this is a short track. We got a couple of different kind of tracks coming up. Next week, obviously, we're going to be to 1.5 miles, Legacy Atlanta. How do you feel about your chances going into there after the momentum you gained here tonight?
Oh, I feel real good about Atlanta, one of my favorite tracks. And, you know, if we can just, again, it's going to be a tire race. If we can save tires and be there at the end and stay out of trouble, I think we can do well.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Stoney, we appreciate you talking to us here tonight. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I sure do, Austin. First of all, I'm a born again Christian. I'm a pastor. I don't know if you saw on my truck. They call me the faster pastor. But anyway, I'm a full-time preacher, and so I want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ first and foremost for who He is and what He's done for me. But then I got some sponsors on the truck that really help, and call 811.com, nc811.org. This is the third year that they've helped me, and I want to thank Ann Rushing and that group. And I got a brand new sponsor this year, Cook's Landscaping Group. These folks are in our church, and they just want to support this and help out. So they do that, and then of course you guys and the Grindstone Development company. I think that Kevin is the owner of that. I want to thank him for sponsoring this series. So anyway, it's been a good night, and I sure appreciate the interview, my man.
Yeah, it has been a good night. Well, we appreciate you talking to us. And again, Stoney, congrats on that third place finish. We'll see you next week at Atlanta.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. See you now.
All right, and there you go. That is going to wrap up our interviews and wrap up our coverage here tonight from Five Flags Speedway. Crazy race, but a heck of a finish as Craig Janzak takes home the first win of the season in the first race of the season. Next week, it's off to Legacy Atlanta. We'll see you all back there. As for tonight, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. I hope that you all enjoyed, and until next time, have a good night.